Hi and welcome, this is a tutorial about creating a rubber shader with Blender cycles, and this shader will be created in a way that you can reuse it in other Blender projects. This is the scene I created for my wood material tutorial. It contains a sunlight and an area light, and I'm going to create here very fast forwarded this simple object that has the shape of a rubber, of an eraser. And for this object I'm going to create the rubber material. I duplicated this and now I create the material. Press new and define a name for the material. I call this material rubber. Also set it for the second object, and now we'll open up the node editor and define the nodes for this material. So this will be a very basic setup for a rubber material. There are more elaborated setups that contains, for example, some displacements with noise textures or something like that. But the goal of this tutorial is to define a very simple material and then to show you how to create node groups. But let's first define the RGB node here for the diffuse shader that is added by default. And when I change this to a red one, you can see how the color changes in the preview. Okay, now I will add a translucent shader and mix this with the diffuse one. This will bring a more realistic look to this rubber material. Now select the mix shader and connect the diffuse and the translucent. And I think we can set the factor to about 0.6. And now you see the material is very light, so let's open up the RGB for this translucent shader and bring it down just like this. And this already looks quite nice. But yeah, a rubber always has some a bit of a gloss, not too much, but a little bit. So let's add a glossy shader. Okay, and now again bring this value down, bring the value down, and again we have to add a mix shader to combine this first mix shader with the glossy one. So I duplicate this mix shader and connect the glossy shader. Then I set the value or the factor of this mix shader, of the second mix shader, to about 0.5 and increase the roughness of the glossy shader to about 0.4. And I think that's okay, and we can go with this. Okay, now press the B button and select these 5 nodes here in the middle, and then press Ctrl G. What this will do is creating a so-called node group. And when I press now the tab key, then this node group is collapsed, and this will be our shader, our reusable rubber material that we can save in our blend file and add to other blend files. For example, you create a new project, then you press append and add this node group from this Blender project to your existing one and just use this rubber material as we do here. You can change the color because the color is not part of this node group. It is a kind of parameter that you can set here in the panel on the right. I set it here to a blue color, and then both objects are affected because they share the same material. But you can also go ahead and select the second object, then copy this material like this, give it a new name, and now I changed the color, and you can see you have 2 materials, one with a red and one with a blue color. So this material and this node group will be saved in my blend file when it is assigned to an object. But I also could create a so-called fake user by pressing this F, and when I delete the objects now and save my file, the material is saved in this blend file because I created this fake user. Okay, now I save my file and then I reload it. And after that, I create a new object, just a cylinder. And now I want to use this material I just created, this rubber material. Now I switch to object mode. And now I select my material that is saved in this blend file because I created this fake user. And the same thing you can do by creating a new Blender file and appending this material and this node group to your file and use your material like I do it here. Okay, my friends, I really hope you liked this tutorial. If you have any questions about this, about materials, about cycles, about Blender, please feel free to ask. Subscribe to my channel, here's the link, and I also added a link to a previous tutorial about this topic. Thanks a lot for watching and see you soon on my channel.